concussion is a traumatic brain injury that alters the way your brain functions. Some symptoms include loss of memory, loss of balance, dizziness, and headache, and sometimes vomiting. My name is Darwyn Kelly, and I am here to inform and to raise awareness about concussions. The topic of concussions is relevant to me because being a player here at the University of Illinois, I must be aware of the consequences that can come along with them and how to protect myself on the field at all times. Many of my teammates have experienced concussions around me, and today you will hear from an athletic trainer, a player, and a coach to receive their perspective on concussions. One way that I was taught to help prevent concussions is practicing a safer tackling technique that takes your head out of the tackle. A lot of the times you see players who receive concussions making head-to-head contact, trying to make a tackle like this or like this with the head down. That's also how some people break their necks, unfortunately. The way I was taught to tackle was to step into it, like have your head to the side and get low and wrap up and squeeze and drive.
One of the first symptoms I noticed was that everything seemed a little shaky. Like it was just all fuzzy, kind of looking around, and just all wasn't normal. And then another symptom was that I was forgetting the plays when I was out there on the field, and I know that's not normal. So those were two of the symptoms that I had. Yeah, absolutely, I'd let my son play football. I mean, being a football player, you already know the risks that come with the game, concussion being one of them. And my love for the game is just so great and everything. I think the good outweighs the bad, and so I'd let my son play football if he wanted to. I think one of the biggest things we could do to make the game safer is to properly teach each player how to block and form tackle and everything, because one of my biggest issues or problems is that I lead with my head when I hit, which obviously isn't good, and that's what led to my concussion. And so if we can teach the players the proper technique of shooting their hands so it's more hands than hitting their head, then I think it would make the game a lot safer.
So the process in terms of clearing an athlete once diagnosed with concussion goes along the lines of initially clearing them of symptoms. So they'll fill out, or they'll be proctored a symptom evaluation by an athletic trainer, certified athletic trainer on our staff, and we'll go through a list of symptoms associated with concussion. And before they're progressing to the next step, they have to score 0 on each of those. The next step would be an impact test, which is compared to their baseline test that they've already taken. And they have to score comparable scores to that within an acceptable range. The next step would be non-contact drills. So once they're cleared from concussion or from symptoms, once they're cleared from baseline impact, they move on to non-contact physical activity. Once they're able to complete physical activity without any symptoms, they're moved on to more sport-specific drills out on our field here. And then finally, once they clear those, they're moved into non-contact practice. Once they complete non-contact practice without any symptoms, they're seen by our medical staff and our medical doctors, and they finally make the final decision on whether they're cleared or not. Based on all the new studies and research and all the things we're hearing about ill effects with head injury in football, I would still sign my own kids up to play football. I think we're heading in the right direction, and there's a culture change within the sport, and I think we're heading in the right direction in terms of being more informed, and the technology I think is improving drastically to where we're going to have a safe environment here in the future.
Well, avoiding concussions is a pretty important part of the game, because you lose players if you can't have them out on the field. So, by nature of the game of football, we wear these pads called shoulder pads, and the more times that we can contact blockers, but in particular ball carriers and tacklers, kids that we're trying to tackle with the shoulders, and keep the shoulder and the arms involved in tackling and the head out of tackling, is the number one thing that we're trying to do in football. A lot of people are going to a more, head on the back side of the ball rather than on the front side of the ball to keep the head away from contact with the ball carrier's head, helmet, knees, shoulders, or whatever, and try to again use the shoulders a lot as the main focus of tackling, along with the arms, and keeping the head involved and being the point of contact with ball carriers. Yes, I would let my sons play football. In fact, I have two sons that have played football. One played in college, one played in high school, and didn't get a chance to play in college. But I would never force them to play the game. They've got to want to play the game. It's got to be something they want to do. But yes, both my sons, maybe because I'm a coach, were involved in football, been around football their entire lives, and knew the injuries and ramifications of playing the game. Everybody's going to get hurt in the game of football to some degree, bumps, bruises, whatever. But yeah, you're hoping with proper teaching and education that they would be successful playing the game, and obviously I'd love to see them playing the game, and they both played the game, so yeah, I'm an advocate of my own sons playing the game of football. Just the rules of the game. The rules of the game are taking any head-to-head contact away from tackling and physical play with the game of football too. If anybody ever leads with their head on a blocker or leads with their head on a ball carrier, it's actually a penalty now. So that's another legality enforcement of officiating that's helping trying to reduce the head contact and possibility of concussions and head injuries.
Today, you have heard the unique perspectives from a player, a coach, and a trainer here at the University of Illinois. As a player, you must be aware of the potential consequences that a concussion may bring because they can be life-altering. For example, Hall of Famer linebacker Junior Seau experienced many concussions during his time in the NFL, ultimately resulting in him committing suicide. If you are further interested in concussions, check out Will Smith's new movie, Concussions, on Christmas Day 2015 in theaters.